Okay, so you've worked your entire life and now you want to enjoy the peace and quiet of your golden years. After doing some research and maybe talking to some friends, you said, you know what, I think I want to move to Florida like everyone else. But then you also realize that you don't want to get bit by alligators, you don't want to be in traffic, you don't want to get behind slow drivers, get bit by mosquitoes, or maybe you don't want to sweat the second you walk out your front door. So if you're considering another location that maybe is not Florida, I would present to you North Georgia and why North Georgia is a really great place to retire. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Gibson and you guessed it, my channel is all about North Georgia real estate. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I am going to be putting out a lot of content for you this year. And if you are thinking about moving to the area or if you just want to do some research, my contact info is on the screen right here. Please reach out, I'd be happy to help. Without further ado, let's talk about the top reasons why you might want to retire to North Georgia over Florida. All right, so over the past couple of years of doing these YouTube videos, I've talked to a lot of people from Florida and I've actually helped a lot of people move from Florida to North Georgia. All right, so one of the main reasons why people end up calling me, and I've actually helped a lot of people move from Florida to North Georgia, is because I grew up in the state of Florida and I spent the other half of my life up here in North Georgia. And granted, both states are awesome in their own way. Both states have their own pros and cons. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why I think North Georgia may be a better option than Florida. All right, so cost of living is one of the main reasons why people end up calling me from Florida, and they end up talking about, hey, well, what's it like in North Georgia? Over the past couple of years of shooting YouTube videos, I've talked to a lot of people from Florida and actually helped quite a few people move from Florida to North Georgia. One of the main things that people end up talking about is cost of living. And of all of the cost of living topics that we end up talking about, the first one tends to be homeowners insurance rates. Now, if you are living in Florida and watching this video right now, I know that you're probably like, oh yeah, I know what that guy's talking about. But if you are living in a different state and you're considering either North Georgia or Florida as a retirement location, one thing I wanted to mention is these homeowners insurance rates. And just to give you a quick example, I talked to a guy who lives in Southwest Florida. We've been talking on and off for a couple of months. And he kind of gave me his situation. He said, hey, I live in a, just an average size house. I live in Southwest Florida. And my homeowners insurance rates went up to almost $6,000 for the year. Now, for those of you who live in Florida, that may not be that big of a deal, but by contrast, I was talking to a friend just before shooting this video, and he lives in a comparable sized house. I made sure the square footage was about the same, the age is about the same, and he actually pays $2,400 a year for his homeowner's insurance. Now, obviously, these are just two examples, and every situation is going to be a little bit different, depending on the age of the house, age of the roof, location, all that good stuff. But I just wanted to give you that example so you're aware, hey, if I move to Florida somewhere, my homeowner's insurance rates could be super high. Another cost of living item that is a common theme, and this is a personal experience of mine, especially growing up as a kid, is the gas prices. And as a kid growing up in North Florida, I remember my dad sometimes thinking about, and actually doing it a couple times when the gas was expensive, driving across the state line to fill up on gas because he knew the gas prices were a good bit cheaper in Georgia versus Florida. Now, obviously, gas prices change every day, but in my experience, I've traveled a lot to Florida over the years, going back and forth, vacation, seeing family, all that good stuff, and the gas prices are a good bit cheaper in Georgia. So if you're going to be doing a lot of driving, or you're not going to buy an electric vehicle or a hybrid, then hey, you know what? Maybe North Georgia is a good spot for you. Okay, lastly, I did want to mention property tax rates. And the reason why I want to mention that is because there are quite a few locations, counties in North Georgia that offer pretty significant tax breaks on property taxes for folks that are 65 and older. So naturally, as you get a little older and you get towards retirement age, you don't have kids in school. So you won't have to pay into school tax and you could take that exemption. That's a great benefit to homeowners who are retired in North Georgia. Every county is a little bit different, and each exemption or school tax exemption is going to vary just a bit between counties, but just call me or let me know if you need any more information on that. I'd be glad to help. All right, so next on the list is the great outdoors. And I know what you're thinking. Florida has a lot of natural beauty, and trust me, I've been there all the way from very far northeast Florida to the Panhandle, all the way down to the Florida Keys, and just about everywhere in between. So I have firsthand experienced the natural beauty of Florida. But hey, North Georgia has mountains. I mean, you know, the tallest mountain that I can think of in Florida is probably a high-rise condo in Miami or something like that. Okay, but seriously, North Georgia is a really beautiful place, and the North Georgia mountains are a very special place to me and my family. And by contrast to the tallest mountain in Florida, the tallest mountain in North Georgia is just over 4,000 feet. That'd be Brasstown Bald. It's a really cool place to visit. I think when I think of retiring to a place or spending my golden years somewhere, I think of somewhere that's peaceful and quiet and offers a lot of natural beauty. And North Georgia has every single bit of that and more. If you want to get out and do some hiking, you can do that. The Appalachian Trail, lots of other hiking trails are around. There's lots of beautiful state parks. Vogel State Park, Unicoi State Park. You've got so many that are right there tucked into the North Georgia mountains. And like I mentioned in some of my other North Georgia videos, you've got lakes and rivers and just waterfalls, all kinds of fun stuff to explore. And speaking of the great outdoors and weather and things like that, you know, what's cool about North Georgia is we actually have seasons here. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 seasons in Florida. It's hot and hotter. And in Georgia, we don't even have 4 seasons. We have 12 seasons. And if you are interested about what the 12 seasons of Georgia are, watch one of my other videos. It's right here on the screen. You can check out my goofy explanation of the 12 different seasons in Georgia. And currently we are in the pollinating, which is one of the 12 seasons in North Georgia. And what is the pollinating, you might ask? You might be thinking, well, that sounds like a horror movie. Well, that's because it is. The entire landscape of North Georgia is covered in pollen, and you can't go anywhere without it, and all of your cars and everything you own that's outdoors is going to be covered in yellow stuff that looks kind of like snow. And no, I'm not talking about yellow snow that you may be thinking of, so get your mind out of the gutter, okay? This is going to be very Florida specific here, but animals that we have in North Georgia don't even compare to the ones that you would see in Florida. And first on the list, and why I say that's Florida specific, is a experience that I've had growing up over the years and just driving through the state of Florida when the weather warms up. It's called love bugs. If you know anything about love bugs, if you are driving anywhere in Florida, they will literally coat the entire front of your car, and it's like a black cloud of bugs that are just everywhere and you can't get away from them. And we don't have those in North Georgia, so that's one thing that every time I go back to Florida, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot, there's love bugs everywhere, and you gotta wash your car just about all the time. All right, I've lived up in North Georgia for quite some time, about 20 years at this point, and I don't think I've ever seen an alligator. My dad tells a story about one time he was jogging, and he was out just early in the morning. He was just kind of minding his own business, had his headphones in, jogging around. Nobody was around, and he saw something out of the corner of his eye, and he jumped out of his skin because there's an alligator literally right there on the sidewalk. I wish I could have seen my dad jump that high, because he said he jumped higher than he ever has in his entire life. So if you're jogging in North Georgia, guess what? You won't have to worry about alligators. But what you will have to worry about is Bigfoot. One of the main themes that I hear from folks that are coming from Florida is the congestion and the people everywhere in South Florida, or really kind of almost anywhere in the state. Now, you will have to deal with some congestion in North Georgia, but that's mainly due to the pollen. Obviously, there's a lot of subdivisions in Florida. There's a lot of houses that are stacked on top of each other. That's another thing I hear about. I was talking to someone from Orlando last week, and she is thinking about making a move to North Georgia. And she mentioned that it might take her 30 to 40 minutes to get to the grocery store, which is only like 3 miles away from her house. Do we have some traffic in North Georgia? Yes, but usually it's just waiting for Bigfoot to cross the road, or maybe some deer or something like that. But seriously, yeah, there is some traffic, but that traffic usually tends to be further south with the folks that are leaving the suburbs and commuting down to Atlanta or someplace close to Atlanta for work. We do see some traffic realistically in North Georgia, but most of that tends to be in the fall. Fall is when the leaves change, and a lot of people are coming up from all over, especially down near Atlanta, to see the natural beauty of North Georgia, see the leaves change. It's a really cool sight. But on a day-to-day basis, not much traffic. Hey, also, if you want to live in a house where you can't reach out the window and touch your neighbor's house, then I think North Georgia would be a good spot for you too, because we don't have a whole lot of that up here. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about real estate because obviously it's a real estate channel. So I wanted to pick an area in Florida that is well known for retirees, and that's Naples, Florida, and give you an idea of what it may cost to buy a house in South Florida in a place like Naples. And take this house, for example. It's $295 million. That's more expensive than the entire state of Georgia. I mean, come on. I mean, I guess if you got $295 million burning a hole in your pocket, you could buy an entire state, or you could buy this house in Naples. I'll tell you which one I'd choose. I'd choose the state of Georgia. All right, seriously, all joking aside, you can't buy the entire state of Georgia for $295 million, but that house in Naples is actually $295 million. Okay, so the median sales price in Naples is like $760 or somewhere around $800,000. Look, I get it. Naples is a really great place. It's a very fancy place. I have been there a few times and the houses are nice. But by contrast, you can go to a place like Dahlonega, Georgia, where you've got wineries, you've got a cute little town square, you've got mountains, you got hiking, you got everything you could ever want, including a Dollar General on every corner. And just to give you an idea, the median sales price of homes in Dahlonega, Georgia is about $450,000, so that's a whole lot cheaper than Naples. And we have 12 seasons versus 2. All right, look, I get it. Florida is a great place to live, of course. I've lived in both. I've lived in Florida and North Georgia, but I think North Georgia has so much more to offer. And that's why a lot of people are choosing to retire to North Georgia over Florida. So if you are thinking about moving to North Georgia, or if you just have some questions, please reach out and let me know. My contact info is on the screen again right here. That's it for the video. Tell me what you think. Leave me some comments in the comments section. We'll talk to you on the next video.